Hi, and welcome to Tone Colour Terms, the ones you need to know. Hopefully you'll watch this video first, then you'll watch the second one, which is Tone Colour, the concept explained, and then the last one is an example of how to answer it in the HSC. So let's get started. So tone colour, the main thing about tone colour, it can also be called performing media or sound sources. So if you see any of those sort of terms in a actual, exam, it's all referring to tone colour. So one of the first terms is melodic roll. So the main thing about a melodic roll, it's the main feature of a piece of music, the bit you sing along to. So even if someone isn't singing in a piece of music, the part that you actually sing or hum along to, that's the melodic roll. That's the instrument that takes the melodic roll. Melodic accompaniment, on the other hand, and that's why I have a little guitar there, is any pitched instrument that supports the melody. Now the important word there is pitched. There is also rhythmic accompaniment, which you'll see in a minute, but melodic accompaniment is any instrument that is pitch that is performed in a piece of music but is not performing the melody. So in the most cases, someone might be singing, and in a rock band you'd have a lead guitarist, a guitarist and a bass player, and they're all part of the melodic accompaniment. Rhythmic accompaniment, as you can see, a little drum kit there, it's any unpitched instrument that supports a piece of music. So that could be, as you can see, a drum kit, or it could be a djembe or a conga or a bongo, a triangle, guiro, anything like that that is unpitched. So that's what the rhythmic accompaniment does. So a tenor, that is your high male voice. Okay, he's the one that gets all the fancy bits in the operas, but the tenor is, as I said, the highest male voice. Baritone is your mid-range male voice. Okay, so he can't get quite as high as a tenor, but not quite as low as the bass, which should be the next voice. So bass, this guy is the lowest sounding male voice. Okay, he's the one who sings right down in your boots. I can't sing that low, obviously being a female, but we're talking really, really low notes. Double or triple stopping. Now these this is a technique that can only be performed by a violin or a viola, a cello or a double bass. It is playing 2 or 3 strings at a time on an orchestral stringed instrument. And that was hard to say, but an orchestral string instrument, as I said, a violin, viola, cello or double bass. Double or triple stopping, it's just they're using the bow to play 2 strings at once. Mute. Now, unlike your little button on your remotes, a mute does not make things go quiet, but it changes the sound. So it does make the instrument sound a bit quieter, but it changes the tone color of the instrument. So a mute is a device softening for softening the tone of an instrument. It's used mainly by brass and string instruments. And for example, on a trumpet, you can actually have several different types of mutes, and they all produce a different type of sound. Brass family. Speaking of the trumpet, they're instruments originally made of brass. They all have a mouth, a funnel-shaped mouthpiece, and they are the instruments: the trumpet, trombone, French horn, and tuba. But they also include the cornet, and there was one other one that I can't think of. Oh, euphonium or baritone, which are smaller versions of the actual tuba. Percussion family. These are any instrument that you hit, shake or scrape to make a sound. So as you can see there, we've got the xylophone and the glockenspiel, so they're pitched or tuned percussion instruments. And then there's things like the tambourine, cymbals, snare drum, triangle and bass drum. They're all untuned instruments because they can't perform a melody. And I should make note of the timpani there, which is a tuned percussion instrument because it actually can play a couple of notes by that pedal. If you have a look there, that thing there, the pedal, it means that if you play that pedal, it actually tightens the drum skin up and produces a different note. Soprano. This is our highest female voice. She's the one that sings really high up in the rafters. A lot of opera singers, the main parts are for sopranos, but you could think of people like Mariah Carey and Beyonce who can get those really, really high notes. They are sopranos as well. The string family. String family includes, we've got the violin, viola, which is slightly bigger than the violin, the cello, which is again a bit bigger, double bass and the harp, and included there is the guitar as well, because the acoustic guitar can sometimes be used in an orchestra, but they're all obviously instruments that have strings. Woodwind family. Now originally these were made from wood, and they also have a reed in the mouthpiece. So you can see there that the flute on the side, it's actually made of a silver type material. It's usually silver plated or nickel plated or something like that, depending on how much money you want to spend on the flute. But originally it was made of wood. But it is the only woodwind instrument that does not have a reed in the mouthpiece. Okay, I said you blow across the hole with that one, whereas the oboe, the English horn, which is also called the cor anglais, the saxophone, bassoon and clarinet, now they all have a reed in the mouthpiece. The difference being the saxophone and clarinet have a single reed mouthpiece, but the oboe, English horn and bassoon all have a double reed, which obviously is 2 reeds in the mouthpiece. Mezzo-soprano. She is a mid-range female voice. Most females would be a mezzo-soprano. They can't quite get as high in the rafters, but they don't go really low either. Okay, so it's a mid-range female voice. Mezzo meaning a little. Alto, this is your lowest female voice, and sometimes these altos can actually sing as low as some men, because they've just got that sort of register, and it's actually got nothing to do with whether you're male or female, the register of your voice. It's all to do with how long your vocal cords are, whether they are long or short. The longer they are, the lower the notes. Okay, flutter tonguing. You can see those little butterflies there. That's just to give you an idea. Flutter tonguing is a technique used by mainly in flutes, but it's trilling with the tongue to create a sound, and it's actually just a very quick movement of the tongue which creates a different sound when it's being played. Performing media and sound sources. Now, this is what I said before. These instruments, this just refers to the instruments used in a piece of music. Okay, so it's the same word as tone color, same word as timbre. Okay, performing media and sound sources. Aerophone. Now, you can see all these aerophones there. Aerophones is any instrument that you blow into to produce a sound. So you could include in this group bagpipes, didgeridoos, but as you can see, it includes the woodwind and brass family there, with the trumpet, trombone, tuba, French horn, we've got, there's some saxophones and some clarinets, but any instrument that requires air to make a sound is an aerophone. And this is where you can get a bit tricky, like things like harmonicas are aerophones, and things like accordions are also aerophones because they require air to push through to make a sound. And even actually a pipe organ, if it's a traditional pipe organ, it has air and bellows to make it produce a sound. Idiophone. Okay, these are very cute little idiophones. I just thought they were pretty. These are any instrument that you hit, shake or scrape to make a sound. Okay, but there's one wrong one there, because that one there, that drum, is not an idiophone. Okay, that is an actual membranophone, but all these others are idiophones. We've got some castanets, I don't know what that is, some tambourines, a maraca, I'm not sure what that is either. Okay, I don't know why that's gone backwards. We'll just go forwards again. And obviously there's a glockenspiel there, as well as some sleigh bells. Okay, so an idiophone is any instrument that you hit, shake or scrape to produce a sound. Okay, chordophones. Chordophones are instruments with strings. So any instrument that has a string on it. So we're talking banjos, we're talking mandolins, flutes, guitars, sitars, electric guitars there, bass guitar, double bass, cellos, violins. As I said, any instrument that has a string on it, and you have to play the string to make a sound. Membranophones, on the other hand, is any instrument that has a skin or membrane stretched across it. So we're talking mainly drums here. We're talking obviously your drums in a drum kit. We're also talking djembes, congas, bongos, tablas, all sorts of instruments, all sorts of drums, anything that has an actual skin stretched across it. Alright, so electronic sounds, on the other hand, are instruments that require electricity to make a sound. And you know what it's like if you play an electric guitar and if it's not plugged in, you don't get much sound. But as soon as you plug it into the amplifier, you obviously get sound. So be careful here. I don't know how many students have tried to tell me that a microphone is an actual instrument. The microphone doesn't actually produce this, make the sound itself. It's just a tool to help you sing and make your voice sound louder. So a microphone is not an electronic sound, okay, but obviously your bass guitar, electric guitar, even an electric drum kit are electronic sounds. Keyboards, the same, synthesizers, the same. Falsetto, little disco ball there for a reason. This is a method of singing in the upper register by a male voice. So in other words, it's when a man makes his voice sound like a little girl. That's what we're talking falsetto. So we're talking about the Bee Gees and disco, also surf music with Beach Boys, you know, that really high sound. That's what falsetto is. A cappella. A cappella is simply unaccompanied singing. So anyone who sings without any instrumental support, that is a cappella. So it can be one voice, it can be 100 voices. It's just as long as there's no other instruments, it's called a cappella. And that's the end.